Good evening again, guys. Just giving you a glimpse of all my signs that I had made there in the background. Let me show you them more up close, give you a better glimpse. There you can see the subscribe, the name of the channel, what is in your hand, like. So those are the signs that I had made for my live and for my backdrop. Not the most beautiful backdrop there is, but this is what I have to work with because I'm working from my backyard. And in my last live that I did, I had made a sign and I got a commission from my wife to make one that she needs. So she's out of town, so I want to surprise her when she returns. This one is more like a faith-based sign. So I'm going to outline the words that I'm going to inscribe in this board. And I want to surprise her because what I want to do is that I want to make these letters actually glow in the dark. And it is getting cold, and I know that it is a little bit harder to drink water when it is cold. So I recommend that you travel with your bottle of water to drink it to keep yourself hydrated. So let me take a couple sip and then move on to what I'm going to do. Checking to see who is joining the live. Checking to see. I hope you guys will have had a lovely weekend because the weekend is about to end. The weekend is about to end. Tomorrow I get another work week. Tomorrow another work week. So tomorrow we'll move into another work week. Just want to say hi to everyone in the chat. So what I'll be working on today, I'll be working on a sign. And what I want to do is a surprise for my wife. She had asked me to make it, and since she's out of town, I want her to see it when she gets home. So, as I said, this sign is one that is more a faith-based sign. So she asked me to make this sign for her. I'm seeing how best I can surprise her. So my writing is very ugly, so I did not get good penmanship. I did not practice hard enough either to make it perfect. So even sometimes I am very scared of my own handwriting, but nevertheless I still can write. So as I said, this sign is one that is has to do with faith, more faith-based, like a family reminder. So let me bring it up closer to show you exactly what I'll be carving doing today. So this is the first project that I'm working on. So you can see the words there, which is what? Faith, prayer, and work. Faith, faith. So here we got it. Faith, prayer, and work. So these are what I'm working on today. So I'm going to start the carving. So I'm using this Siemens laser 3/8 V 90-degree V carving bit. So this is what I will be using. So on this you will see the faith, prayer, work, and with that I top up a scripture, which is Thessalonians, 1 Thessalonians, or let me write that, 1 Thessalonians 4 verse 17, and that says, pray without ceasing. So now is a time where faith, prayer, and work will play a great role, especially if you're living in the States. And my heart goes out to those who are, who are worrying about their SNAP benefits. I think now is the right time for you to also exercise faith, because faith really helps us along the way. So I'm going to carve that word first, which is faith. that's pretty much the outline. So there you get it. So that's the first. So what I'll have to do now is I'll have to change the blade. And whenever you're changing your blade on any power tool, it is recommended that you unplug it for safety reasons. You never know what may happen, and instead of getting hurt, you do all the necessary, do everything in your power to protect yourself. So one of the best way to do so is to unplug the tool. So now I'm going to use a smaller bit for the scripture reading, or for the scripture. Yeah, I think I might be messing it up, but it's pretty much common practice for where I'm from to mess up names. This. Yep. So next thing I'm going to carve is these small letters. Just want to check the robot is good. A little bit of more. Checking the depth. Pretty much good enough. So I'm going to carve this. Oh, the plug is back there. Water. Yep. what I'm going to do now, going to get the sander and sand it off a little bit to reveal the letters more better. Yep. Yep. So what I'm going to do now, show you guys what I'm up to next. Need a piece of masking tape. Put it on this thing here. Right back. This should work. High performance epoxy, which is actually used, the mixture is 2:1, So 2 of this. I'm gonna fix my camera. So I'm going to use 2 to 1 now. So 2 of this to 1 of this. So if I do 4, using 6 and 3 of this. So 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So that's pretty much what I'm going to mix. Mix this around. Mix it up. So the surprise that I want to surprise my wife is that I'm going to use these glow in the dark pigment. So these letters will actually glow in the night when we look at them. And this sign as a reminder that our lives should, as Christians, our lives should be centered around faith, prayer, and work. So when you do all these 3 things, which works in perfect harmony, the next thing you do is just trust God and wait on His timing, because God will not fail us. I definitely believe that. I can testify that God will not fail us if we choose to place our trust in Him. I know sometimes it seems like a silly thing to say, or especially at times when the world doesn't necessarily believe. So I was battling between these 2 colors. So this one is dark blue and this one is lime. So I think that the lime will show more brighter in the dark, or I should go for the grass green. So I think I'll work with the grass green. I think I'll work with this one. So let me go with the grass green. So in this. Hopefully I mix enough to fill these letters. Hopefully. So let me see how, if I had mixed enough. I'm using a high performance epoxy, which it cures pretty fast. I think it cures within 12 hours thereabouts. So let me show you. Show you what I'm going to do now in terms of pouring the epoxy in the letters. outside for it to dry. So I'll move to my next project. So definitely I'd mixed enough for this. So I'm going to take this inside and put it to dry. Next time you see this, I'm actually, I will be making the frames for it. So there you see it. So I'll be back in a few. So I'm going to allow this to dry. Then so I'll be back to work on oh no, I didn't notice it, buddy. If I had only seen that. Thanks guys in the chat. So now I know that I have some correction to do, which is pretty much, I had marked out everything right, but now I have to wait until this is dry before I can fix it. But not too late, still can be fixed. So I'll work on that as soon as this is dry. I'll add that later in. So thanks for the next project is one that I've been working on that does not include any spelling. And I guess sometimes you might be nervous. I think I was a bit nervous for that one, just knowing. My next project is one that I've been working on from last week. So I want to wrap it up today. This is our end grain cutting board. So thanks guys for noticing, because I would have maybe not have noticed that I did not spell. I forgot to carve out one of the letters. But you guys are such a good help. So you recognize that I missed out a letter, and I'm truly grateful for that. So what I'll be doing now is work on this. I'll be working on a cutting board. So I'll do that on everything, so it's really between like two screws in it and the handle. So this is pretty much the cutting board that I'm working on. So first I want to get it all screwed up. So thanks, I just want to say thanks again guys for recognizing that I did not spell faith correctly. And out of all the words, look at the one that I choose to mess up. But thanks again for pointing out that error. So this is actually my baby, my plunge straw. I this up. I want to cut it with my table. I'm using these boards as sacrificial board. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to first get a square cut, straight cut, and then from that straight cut, I'm going to make all my markers for this board. Okay, so let me set this right here. You guys may be thinking in your mind, how is it that I am working outside and I have such an expensive saw? So I was working with this guy, doing some remodeling on a house that was about to be sold. So I started off by buying like the cheapest tools on the market, but he recommended to me at the time, saying that I should practice to buy the best tool. But if you cannot buy the best tool at the time, to buy something that will last. So I wanted at the time to buy a Laguna cabinet saw, a Laguna Fusion cabinet saw at the time, but I did not have the space to keep it. As you can see, I don't own a shop, but that still doesn't deter me from doing what I want to do. So I had the money at the time. I drove down to Leesburg in Virginia, Rockford at the time, and I purchased this saw with the track saw. It actually came up to about close to $1,000. I think, yeah, close to $1,000 at the time. But I haven't regret having it, because I can see that this saw can last me probably the next 25 years based on what I'm doing with it. So when I start to get sales, I believe that it will eventually pay for itself. So I'm just saying that sometimes you have to make some sacrifice to get stuff that will work out for you in the long run. Side down. So now I'm going to cut screw on this end, pretty much one side at a time. This is when I made my very first cutting board. I gave it to my mother-in-law. That was about 2 years ago, thereabouts. And it was actually made from pine, that I got from the building that we were working on, and I made an ingrained pine cutting board for her, and she actually loved it. She still has it up until this very day. So what I'm doing with this one, I think I want to replace it for her by giving her this one. So that's what I'm doing. So the boards that I'm using for this one is actually, I got it from a building that was built in 1840. So this board is actually close to 200 years old, thereabouts. And so I want to give her this as a souvenir. Yeah. I'm definitely liking how this is turning out. So I'm going to use a technique to flatten this board. So you know that it is not recommended to pass end grain through the thickness planer. But if you have patience and good planer, there's a technique that you can use, but it is highly caution not to do it. Because the board, if you're taking off too much of the board, it will catch the blade and explode in the thickness planer. So I'm going to show you the technique that I use. First, let me get this. Saw packed up back because I don't think I'll be using it again for the rest of the day. So put it back in the case. Because this is how I treat this saw. Immediately as I'm finished with it, it goes straight back to the case. Out of all my tools that I have, I believe that this one I treat it just the same as when I brought in my son from the hospital. This is actually, I would say it's my baby. Yes, let me put it that way. This is actually my baby. So as soon as I'm finished with it, I put it aside. So, and then what I'm going to do now, I'm going to show you the technique that I use with this board. So first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my rotor, my palm rotor, and I'm going to rotor the edges. Edges, then I'm going to go over to my thickness planer. This is pretty much a back and forth process. So I'm going over to my thickness planer. So this colored tools of mine is really not stationary. I have to move them all over the place. So I'll be going to the thickness planer. So this is the method that I use. It's a bit dangerous, But if you have patience, it does work. I've done it before. So what you do is you yeah. So what you do, you take real line. actually seeing, don't even seeing the board itself. Just look at the grain. So this is actually pine, old growth pine. It's an end grain cutting board. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to get my juice groove sledge. I haven't used it in a while, so I have to go and dig it up and come back. So I'm going to put a juice groove in this. Put a juice groove in it. You don't have everything close by, it's kind of rough. So this is my juice groove sledge that I use to make my juice grooves. So it's time for me to adjust this. Let me get my drill. So that you can see what I'm doing. So what I'm doing now is that I had made. As I said, I haven't used it in a while. Since I'm going to use what I'm going to do, I want to do in the future. I want to make one that is easily adjusted to the actual size of the pour that you're working on. So that's what I want to do in the future. So tighten this. to be. Like this. Like this. This one also. Actually woodworking really requires you to have patience, patience really. Goes a long way when it comes to woodworking. The only thing with this one is that it takes a little time to actually set up. I'm going to make one of those ones that is ready, just on the go. Screw up the side. Screw up the side also. I'm going to get my screw for it. Change this bit out of the rotor. You guys are seeing what I'm doing. So as I said before, so I'm going to use this bit for the juice groove. So before you change any of the blade, bit from any power tool, make sure you remove the source of power, whether it's the battery or the plug. That way you prevent yourself from getting caught in any accidents. So let me put in this blade now for my juice groove. It has been a while since I've really put a juice groove on a cutting board, but I want to add it to this one. So that's what we're going to be doing now. Bring up this. First I want to make a shallow pass, and then I'm going to go over back and make another pass for this, for the juice proof. Yep. So now I'm going to try to keep it as hard to the fence as possible. So I'm doing it now. Normally I just try it all the way around, but I think I'm going to try it slowly. Yep, that's it. I managed to get it. Let me see. Let's see what it looks like. Yeah, this is pretty much good. Good. I like it. Definitely like it. Definitely turn out much better than what I expected. So I think even though I haven't done this in a while, I improve a little bit. Yep. Let me get this one down. show you up close what the juice proof look like. So as you can see there, definitely turn out good. So what I want to do now, I have a technique that I want to try. I don't know how well it's going to turn out, but nonetheless I'm going to try it in terms of for the angle I want to use for the angle of this. It works in this. So now I have to use the next. This one, or I have to use the next water. Put my next water for this one. So I'm going to get my next blade now. I said this is an idea that I have in my mind. I don't know how well it's going to work, but still going to try it. Tip, pencil. This is something now. Mark. Reference mark. said, this is a technique that I had in mind. I don't know how well it's going to turn out, but I won't feel comfortable until I try it. So I'm going to shoot for it. You guys can let me know if it makes sense. Just another idea that I want to try. It works. I can praise myself if it fails. I can curse myself. But I think by this stage I have a little confidence that it will work. So only one way I can know is if I definitely go for it. And that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go for it. You guys can let me know. You can let me know what you think. If you think this idea makes sense. Let me know if you like this one idea. It's just for me for now. I'm just testing it. Let me show you my idea. See if it works. Yep. So that's my idea. So I do it like a little 30 degrees. So you can pick up the board from the hand to pick up the board. So what I want to do now, to give this a round sharp for the edges, go top and bottom. That's supposed to be good enough. Yep. more. Yeah. Finally. Get all my profiling that I need on this board. So the next thing is to get some sanding on this. I'm going to sand this down up to about 220 grit or 320 grit, and water up the joints that in between. So let me get my sandpaper. So first I'll be using 80 grit sandpaper. Using some 80 grit sandpaper on this one. Definitely want to rub on this board tonight. Basically, this is the part that requires a little we call it TLC, turned out. A little bit of unsanding. You know, funny enough, I think I saw a rocker at something that you can use to sand grooves on cutting board, which is this groove. But because they're like an hour and 20 minutes away from where I live, I don't really visit them that regular. So what I think I might do is I'm going to go online, check out the online store, and purchase one of those. And the juice. Seeing all this juice to turn out for me, I think I'm going to start add them back to my cutting boards. As we say, it's really practice. You have to practice to become perfect. And I had stopped doing so with my cutting boards for a good while. But I said this one is for my mother-in-law. There are some imperfections on it. I don't know if I want to correct them. I think I want to let them stay as a part of the actual design of this board. What I want to do is that I definitely want to sand it down, so I'm going to sand it with 120 now, and then 220 grit, so that way you can see, and I will apply the finish after. But I have to say that I am definitely loving the way this board is turning out. It looks exactly like or similar to the one that I had saw on Etsy. So this is actually 120 grit now. circuit boards that I have made so far has been end grain cutting I'm going to use this strap. I can't get the groove a little bit more out of the grooves. Like to tell you when I apply the finish to this, which is a hard mineral iron with hard wax in it, and you see all the grains, you will see how beautiful this board actually is. As I said, this board was made from a board that is actually almost 200 years old, almost. It's about 160, 180 something years old. So this piece of board has history. Okay. Now I'm going to sand it down to 220 grit. Get my 220 grit sandpaper. This is now 220. So I've learned that you should, when you're putting on this, to make sure that you line up the hose for better dust collection. I'm going to use a little CA glue, my activator. Let me get it. Yep. Oh, thanks for that advice. Yep. So, some. Oh no. What I try to do is like at the end of every live, I try to see if I can go through as much of the comments as possible. See the advice that you guys are giving me. So I don't claim to know every single minute detail when it comes to woodworking, and I saw some advice pertaining to the water blade. So I'm going to see how best I can pay some attention to that. I just saw one of those invasive species. It's called the I think I just saw a lantern fly. So I'm almost close to finish. Just some little spots that I want to fix. With my CA glue. Okay. Okay, pretty much just to get the sand off, and I'm pretty much on my way again, finishing up this board. Yes, let me check in the chat. Oh, I think the size of the bullnose bit was, I think, ½ inch thereabout. The thickness of the cutting board, I think it's probably about 1.5 inches. I'm just checking in the chat. Okay. Yes, thanks for that advice. I don't know. I think on my part, in terms of wearing the mask, I think it's a bit, for this evening, I think I was being a bit lazy. And quite a bit on safety also. But sometimes I think laziness gets in the way, which may affect me in the long run. But thanks for that advice. I do believe in wearing proper PPE. But for some reason, I don't know why I'm not doing it today. Must be laziness. pretty much me for the day now. Get everything. I am pretty much proud of this board now. Well, cutting board definitely takes some work, but for me, I always like to see the actual finish. And I think I am there, right up on the money. Right? What did I say? Right up on the money to finish now? Yeah. Yeah. Right up on the dinner time. Right up on the money. Let me clear some of these stuff. One of the best thing about life is when you set a target and almost reach it. Because I would have almost reached my target if I had not messed up in terms of the thing that I'm making for my wife. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to apply the finish to the board and then show you guys. So this is actually the first time I'm going to actually see exactly what the board is going to look like. Yeah. Whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Wow. Whoa. Hope you guys are seeing how this is turning out. So this is actually end grain, so this is going to suck up a lot of the finish. So what I do, I normally put it on and let it soak into the board. Then I give it another, apply another coat of this finish on it the following day. You guys are just seeing basically what the board is going to look like. So you're seeing, hope you guys are seeing. So basically, this is how the board look. So this is a pine end grain cutting board. So this is actually a whole growth pine that I got from a building that I was working on, and I decided that I want to use it to make a cutting board that I want to give to my mother-in-law as a gift. So you guys can let me know in the chat who you think that this board turned out to. Do you think it turned out to look good, or would this be something that you want to keep, maybe as a decorative piece? But I think it is still functional, can be used as a cutting board. There are a lot of times when I make cutting board and when I give them away to some persons, they just keep them as a means of kitchen decor. So you can let me know what you think about this one. I'm definitely going to be taking some pictures of this so that I can have it for my memory that I actually made this. So this is what I wanted to finish today. Let me take out my phone out of the tripod so I can show you guys more up close what it looks like. So there is it. You can let me know what you think about this board. If you like it, you can let me know. So it's actually an end grain cutting board. I am loving it. I like the way how the pattern turned out, especially this part where you're seeing the actual, like the book match and the different grain variation in this board. So that's pretty much it from me today. As you can see, I'm representing my country, Jamaica, even though I'm not living there anymore. But my heart always goes out to my country, especially seeing that we're going through the aftermath of an hurricane that would have reaped havoc on the southwestern side of the island. So I'm asking you to keep Jamaica in your prayer, and pretty much as you continue to support this channel, I truly appreciate and love each and every one of you. Thanks for those advice that I would have gotten in the comment. I look forward to getting advice from you guys because I don't claim to have all the knowledge. I still consider myself to be learning, and the more I learn, the more I will improve on my skills. So that's pretty much it from me today, from What Is In Your Hand Woodworking. I hope that you will enjoy the rest of your evening, and I hope to see you guys again on another live. And if you have not yet subscribed, now is the right time to do so. I forgot to mention that when the year started out, I had initially set a goal that I wanted to reach, and that goal was like 1,000 subscribers. And so far I am inching closer to that 1,000 subscriber. When I just started out, I think I needed like 23 subscribers to hit the 1,000 mark. So I'm hoping that by now and the end of the week, I am at that 1,000 mark where I can actually celebrate actually reaching a goal that I had set. And I believe that we should all set goals and work towards them. So looking forward to seeing you guys again. And I'm out from What Is In Your Hand.